Imagine it's the 1600s. You are a wife living in early America, in what would later become the United States. You have no bank account, no legal identities separate from your husband, no guaranteed custody of your children. Now imagine your marriage ends. Today, divorce can mean a fresh start, but in the 1600s, divorce could mean poverty, social exile, and survival on the streets. So what actually happened to wives after divorce in the 1600s? Did they rebuild their lives? Did they remarry? Or were they left with nothing? Let's step into the harsh reality of 17th century colonial life. In the 1600s, divorce was extremely rare. Many colonies followed strict religious laws inspired by English tradition. In places like Massachusetts Bay Colony, divorce was technically allowed, but only for serious reasons like adultery, abandonment, or cruelty. And even then, it required witnesses and public court hearings. In other colonies, like Virginia Colony, full divorce was nearly impossible for much of the 1600s. Most couples were only granted separation, not true legal freedom to remarry. For a woman to even ask for divorce meant public scandal, court interrogation, community judgment. Divorce wasn't private, it was public humiliation. To understand what happened to wives after divorce, you must understand one word: coverture. Under English common law, which influenced colonial courts, a married woman's legal identity was covered by her husband. This meant she could not own property independently. She could not sign contracts. She could not control her wages. Everything legally belonged to her husband. So what happened when the marriage ended? In theory, divorce restored her legal identity. But in reality, she often walked away with almost nothing. Property typically stayed with the husband, especially land, which was the main source of wealth. And in an agricultural society, land meant survival. Many divorced women faced immediate economic crisis. Without land, without steady income, without legal protection, they were forced to rely on family support, church charity, remarriage, or domestic labor. Some women became servants in other households, others moved in with relatives. In extreme cases, divorced women became dependent on public welfare systems run by towns. Colonial towns kept records of poor relief, and divorced women sometimes appeared on those lists. Divorce could push a woman from wife to poverty almost overnight. One of the most painful consequences was child custody. In many 1600s colonial courts, children were considered economically valuable, especially sons who could work land. Fathers were usually granted custody because they controlled property and resources. Mothers might receive limited visitation, but that wasn't guaranteed. Imagine being a mother, divorced, and separated from your children because you had no land to support them. For many women, this was the true tragedy of divorce. Yes, but it wasn't easy. In colonies like Plymouth Colony, once officially divorced, a woman could legally remarry. But socially, her reputation mattered. Communities were small. Everyone knew everyone. If the divorce involved scandal, especially accusations of adultery, remarriage became harder. However, remarriage was often the fastest path to financial stability. Marriage in the 1600s wasn't just about love, it was economic survival. For many divorced women, remarriage was not romance, it was necessity. Not every story ended in tragedy. Some women successfully proved cruelty or abandonment in court and received limited financial support. In a few documented cases, courts ordered husbands to provide maintenance payments. But these were exceptions, not the rule. The legal system was built around male property ownership. Women's independence was not the priority. Divorce carried stigma. A divorced woman could be labeled difficult, disobedient, immoral. Church communities monitored behavior closely. A woman's survival depended heavily on reputation. Even if she won in court, she might lose socially. And in a tight-knit 1600s village, reputation meant everything. So, what happened to wives after divorce in the 1600s? Most faced financial instability, loss of property, possible separation from children, social judgment, pressure to remarry. Divorce did not mean freedom. It often meant starting over, with fewer rights and fewer resources than before. The story of divorce in the 1600s reminds us how far legal rights have evolved and how hard women fought to gain independence. History isn't just about wars and kings. Sometimes it's about the quiet struggles inside a marriage and what happened when it ended.